We'll give you the number. Yes. Because youth are it's overwhelming response from youth.
That's fantastic, really.
Yeah, very fantastic.
I think, Christina, should we start?
Yes, we'll start so we don't have any delays.
Yes.
So I want to say a huge warm welcome to everyone that have joined so far to this Youth Conclave, which is preceding the International Conference on Sustainability Education. I'm Christina. I'm a coordinator of education here at Foundation for Environmental Education. We're based in Denmark, in Copenhagen. And I'll be co-facilitating today's session together with Ms. Kavya. And we'll have 90 minutes together and we'll have a fantastic list of speakers here to share with you their experiences in terms of climate action, of climate education. But we'll also have a chance to hear from you through Mentimeter, and I'll be facilitating and explaining that part of the session a little bit later. But for now, I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Kavya.
Thank you so much, Christina. On behalf of Mobius Foundation, it is my great pleasure and honor to welcome to the pre-event of the 4th International Conference on Sustainability Education that is organized on 9th and 10th September, followed by Nature Trail on 11th September. I would like to take this opportunity to formally welcome our esteemed guests, youth who are present with us, and attendees who have joined us across the globe. Thank you for taking out time and being here today. Your active participation is important throughout the session. It has been 4 continuous years that the International Conference on Sustainability Education is being organized by Mobius Foundation in partnership with 30+ organizations from all over the world, focusing on various facets of sustainability education. Partnerships hold the potential to become a viable mechanism to strengthen sustainability education in a way that complemented action. This pre-conference ICSE Youth Conclave is curtain raiser to the 4th ICSE on the theme Building Connections and Partnerships for Sustainable Future, which will provide opportunities to work together, make connections, and strengthen partnerships for a promising future. This will pave the way to the main conference starting from tomorrow. Moving ahead and to formally start the event, I would like to introduce Dr. Pramod Kumar Sharma, Senior Director of Education, FEE, Copenhagen, Denmark. Dr. Sharma is an education for sustainable development professional with a broad experience of 20 years. Before joining FEE, he was working with Center for Environment Education in India and handled a portfolio of school programs dealing with quality education and education for sustainable development. He has participated and presented papers in more than 15 international conferences organized in 13 countries, dealing with education and sustainable development. His current area of interest is the development of measurable outcome indicators for SDGs, Target 4.7, and the peace education. I would now request him to give his message to the youth and begin today's proceedings. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Kavya, for that wonderful introduction. I'm happy to welcome you all on behalf of the Foundation for Environmental Education that has been the founding partner of this conference. And as a foundation, we are focusing on basically doing an advocacy on quality climate change education, and that requires partnership. Recently, there was a report from UNESCO where it highlighted that more than 70% of the countries around the world do not have adequate quality climate change education or content. And that means that the youth are not being adequately prepared to face the challenges which are already there in terms of climate change and the actions that they can take and give them hope and or a positive action that they can take to mitigate and adapt to the challenges that are in front of us. And as part of that advocacy campaign, I would like to highlight Running Out of Time campaign that we have launched in February this year. And it's basically an ambitious relay race starting in Glasgow, which was the host of COP26 and would be ending in Sharm el-Sheikh, basically the venue of COP27. This relay is covering 7,767 kilometers with 732 stages and will be done either through running, biking, or sailing in over 38 days. It will be starting on 30th September, and please support this relay by supporting this message that we are carrying in the baton of the relay. And we will be also amplifying and organizing in a side event where we'll be presenting and asking the member states or the countries around the world to support the message for quality climate change education. So all the best for this session, and I look forward to learning from this, and also your recommendation and suggestion for taking climate action and basically face the existential crisis that is there in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pramod. And later in this session, I'll also share with you the direct link for you to be able to support the message of running out of time. But for now, I'm actually going to share my screen, and I'm going to get started with the first Mentimeter questions, as I promised in the beginning. So to hear a little bit from you, I need you to find your phone, or you can either also open a new browser in your computer. And basically, you go to www.menti.com, and then you put in this number up here, which I cannot actually see at the moment because I'm sharing my screen. But Kavya, can you maybe put this number into the chat and also say it out loud?
Yeah, so the number is 38648753. I'll quickly put it in the chat as well.
Thank you, Kavya. So whenever you've done that, you'll see that you have the opportunity to say where you're from. So where are you joining us from today? These are very broad regions of the world, I know, but just to have a little bit of an idea. And I know we have over 100 with us at the moment as part of this session, and possibly also somebody watching online. So I'm just going to give a couple of minutes to everyone to join in. And of course, I see a lot of people joining from Asia. Obviously, the International Conference on Sustainability Education is taking place in India. So I expect a lot of people might be joining from there. Oh, but also somebody from Europe and a person from South America. Fantastic that we reached you as well. And yeah, I'll just give it a couple of seconds more in case somebody wants to join. This is not going to be a test of knowledge. It's only to hear your perspectives on different things. All right. And don't worry if you want to join a little bit later. I'm going to change the slide now, but you always can join through menti.com using that code that Kavya shared. And it will always be at the top of the slide. Oh, we just got one from North America. Fantastic. So that's very nice to see. We're also curious about how old you are. So this is a youth conclave, but we've said, you know, it's open to everyone. It's good to have these intergenerational dialogues. How old are you? All right, so there's quite a few joining us who are under 18. That's fantastic. Also makes me aware that I will try to speak slowly in terms of English if that's not your first language, but let's keep that in mind. So we also have somebody from, between the age of 18 to 24, and some that are older, but that's great. I'll give you a couple more seconds. Already 60 have answered this one. But great to see youth heavily represented in this session today. So before we move on, I actually just want to highlight what I think, or what we can see as a definition for climate change education. And basically, it helps people understand and address the impacts of the climate crisis, empowering with the knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes needed to act as agents of change. And with this, I wanted to just highlight that with climate change education, we don't mean necessarily, okay, you need to know all the statistics and all the facts and all the scientific knowledge behind climate change. Of course, that's important. But a second kind of, or just as important, is that you actually act on behalf of this this knowledge, that you act as agents of change, both in terms of how to mitigate climate change and how to also, I would say, inspire and motivate your surroundings, your communities to act as well. And also, I want to highlight that education is not confined to the formal education system. And what do I mean with that? I mean that education can also take place at your workplace or as part of online events such as this one, or at public events. And then we might call it something a little bit different, maybe professional development or capacity building or public awareness. But remember that, yeah, education is not confined to these formal school systems. All right, but enough from me. I want to hear, to what extent have you noticed the impacts of climate change in your country? So have you noticed that there have been floods or droughts or other climate-related events in your country? And I'll give you a little bit of time to answer on this one. But yeah, unfortunately, I do see that it's getting closer toward the high extent, and that is, yeah, not, I want to say, a surprise. Almost in every country or in all countries around the world, we really do see that there are some changes happening already now. Sometimes when we talk about climate change, it's something almost in the distant future that not quite has, we haven't reached yet, but in fact, yeah, we see a lot of impacts already, and we might see more in the future. So thank you for your answers. And these are the two last questions for now, until before we begin with the next speaker. But to what extent do you feel able to mitigate climate change? And to what extent do you feel able to adapt to climate change? And here I just want to highlight that, remember, mitigation is, okay, do you know how to lower your CO2 footprint, your carbon emissions, to kind of mitigate climate change, whereas adapting to climate change is that, how do you say, I mean, just as we talked about, there are already impacts happening, and we need to be resilient. We need to be prepared to deal when those changes happen, which they are already. Oh, so that's also very interesting. It's almost a tie between the two, which is a little bit surprising to me. Actually, personally, I feel more knowledgeable about mitigating climate change, while adapting to it is something that I still need to learn about. But that's good to see that at least you're halfway there. But of course, we can always learn and improve. With that, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, but don't lose your phones. We're gonna go back to Mentimeter at some point. But with this, I'm gonna hand it over to Kavya.
Thank you, Christina, for the questions. And now moving further, it is a great honor to introduce ICSE Youth Ambassador Michelle Dhilara, Sri Lankan environmental activist, author, philanthropist, film and TV star, received the National Youth Icon Award at the World Youth Summit held in New Delhi in 2019. Currently, she performs her role as the Earth Day Network Ambassador for Sri Lanka. She is also an advocate and promoter of net zero and carbon neutrality. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you here in person in India. We would like to know your thoughts that how do you motivate youth to take climate action?
Yeah, all, I would like to actually thank Dr. Amboj and the whole Mobius Foundation for inviting me for this conference, actually. And I really appreciate organizing such conferences for the youth, because as an actress and as an advocate to climate change issues, I personally think that rather than changing the minds of the elders, it's better to change the minds of the youth, because they are the future leaders of the country and the globe. So as an actress and as a philanthropist, as a climate activist, I try to use all my media space and whether it's newspapers or social media or whatever it is, I try to use that to my extent to address these climate change issues to schools, universities, and other organizations. So currently, I've been working on this topic for over 4 to 5 years, and I have organized many practical sessions, practical projects with almost 7 to 8 universities in Sri Lanka, and I still continue awareness programs and lectures on the current issues, such as how do we achieve carbon neutrality, and how do we reduce our carbon footprint. And for the past 4 to 5 years, what I have come across is that the youth, they are so energetic and they thrive to do new stuff. But the thing is, most of them, they don't have this climate literacy. Climate literacy, especially, I think that's the main point here, since climate change and global warming is one of the two most devastating issues in the globe, around the world. So what I experience, from my experience, what I think is, we have to encourage the youth, and we have to give them this climate literacy knowledge, so that they could, they will be the future innovators, they'll be the future engineers. So one day when they try to innovate some, maybe what do you call, invent some kind of anything, maybe a car or whatever, they will definitely think about nature. They'll take nature as one of the compulsory factors. So that's what I intend to do. So that's the reason I have multiple awareness programs around almost all the schools in Sri Lanka and universities. And going beyond that, I have also started my projects with the embassies. And recently I had a project with the Korean Embassy of Sri Lanka. We started this project to achieve carbon neutrality, to make the embassy a green embassy. So these are some of the projects that I've been doing, and I'll be continuing it with all my capacity. And apart from that, the newspaper media, social media, and television media, I use almost 70% of my media space to address these issues. So I think this conference will be a good example. And this conference, the conferences will be on the 9th and 10th. I invite all the youth to definitely join this conference, because it will be a great change. And let's start the change within us. That's what I always tell. If we are to change the world, if we are to do something new, we should start it from ourselves. So actually, spending time even for this session right now is the first step for the change. So let's make this change together. We can't do this alone. So I invite everybody to join this conference, which is organized by the Mobius Foundation, and everybody in it. Especially I must thank Dr. Rambuj for organizing something like this. So I invite everyone across the globe, all the youth, to join this conference. And I also, my capacity, I have informed most of the youth in Sri Lanka as well to join this conference either online, since it will be a hybrid this time. So the event will be going on physically plus virtually both. So hope it will be a great change, and I hope to cooperate with Mobius Foundation as ICSE Youth Ambassador as well. So let's make this change together. So thank you so much once again for inviting me for this conference. And I hope everyone will be joining for tomorrow's and day after's conference. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Really great to have you here. And I think you were very right in terms of, or I want to thank you for your work in raising awareness among youth, and yeah, very right in terms of the climate literacy part, that there we really need to work together to improve that. And with that, I actually just want to share my screen once again and go back to my little Mentimeter here, because I have a couple more questions. So if you haven't joined yet, you still have the opportunity. And speaking about climate literacy, I also wanted to hear where you have learned about climate change. And here I think you have the opportunity to choose 4 maximum. I know you might have thinking, oh, I learned about it everywhere, but if you can choose the top 4 places that you think that you've learned about climate change, it would be interesting for us to know. Oh, wow, okay, here we go. Lots of new answers. And I see the primary secondary school is really leading, which is great. But it's a good mix, which is interesting. Also in news, obviously, we hear a lot about climate change in the paper and television. Sometimes a lot of the news can also be negative and depressing, but that's why we need to work together to also find out the actions that we can do. So we, feel that we have some, things to do as individuals as well. Okay, but a very good mix. Workplace seems to be the lowest one, but we're also going to talk about that a little bit later, like in your professional lives, what skills do you actually need for the future in terms of dealing with climate change? For now, I'm going to change to the next question, which is, for those of you who have actually had some bit of climate change education in your school or college, how satisfied were you with it? Remember, if you didn't have any climate change related topics in your school, you can say you're very dissatisfied, because obviously that's not how it should be. And I see answers coming in, and it's above average, which is very good to hear that that there is actually some things good going out there in the schools and colleges around the world. And we're going to hear more actually from schools who are doing climate change education in just a few minutes. But if anyone wants to still join the Mentimeter, they still can. We've reached 60, so I think I'm going to stop sharing here. And then again, thank you for your answers. And for now, I'm actually going to present our next speaker. We have Masaki Morimoto joining us from Japan. She's a year 11 student at Nagoya International School in Japan, and she's actually at the moment running to become the president of the eco committee of her school. And as I've told her, I'm really rooting for her, and I'm sure that she'll do very well. Masaki, we would like to hear from you what you think young people can do in their schools and their communities to help mitigate climate change. And feel free to take the stage.
Thank you. I may have issues opening my slides, so would it be possible for you to do that? Thank you. So hi everyone, my name is Masaki Morimoto, and I'm an year 11 student at Nagoya International School, as Ms. Manson has just introduced me. And here I'll be talking about what we can do as young people at our schools and communities to help mitigate climate change. So here I'll be talking about 2 specific parts. Next slide, please. So as for part 1, we have the relevant activities that we have been working on at our school. So I believe that as students, we have 2 main options in order to take action upon environmental issues, such as mitigating climate change, which are in school and out of school. So in school, we have the clubs, and I believe that that is the most effective way that we are able to take action upon climate change. And actually a member of one of our clubs, which focuses on environmental issues, Global Issues Network, Jin, mentioned that at first joining Jin was just out of curiosity. However, as she engaged with the club, she found that the action she took through Jin was a responsibility that they must take on for the future generations as a young individual full of opportunity. Soon after, she actually decided to take initiative for river cleanup at our local community as her International Baccalaureate Middle Year Program project. And as for out of school, another member of the Global Issues Networks, next slide, please. Thank you. Sorry. For the outside of schools, she has been volunteering for 3 years at a beach cleanup at her local community with her mother. And here she has been making arts of glasses where they have collected. And here they were able to raise awareness to the next generations who are just toddlers right now. And so my main message here is that all it takes is a little bit of curiosity. But what is the Ikokami is the real question. So rather than just a traditional school club, this committee acts as a driving committee that orients clubs and communities members to ultimately create a more sustainable campus where we are working towards our goals with the help of Eco Schools, a global organization, FEE, that helps schools around the globe improve their environmental footprint. So this committee contains of an approximate of 50 members, including highly selected student leaders from clubs that focuses on environmental issues and student councils, faculty members, as well as parents in order to have a variety of perspectives and seek larger impact on the community as a whole. And during our monthly meetings, all leaders present updates from what their groups has accomplished, then as a group acknowledge what we will be doing within the upcoming month. So on the next slide, here is the basic structure of the Eco Committee. And I will now speak in more depth about the 2 clubs at our school that focuses on environmental issues, climate, and GIN, as I feel that I'm best connected with these 2 sectors of the Eco Committee, and will be able to go in more depth and speak with accuracy from the students' perspective. So the Global Issues Network is a club that focuses on natural school environments. And they have had 2-night, 3-day trips to Toyoka as their past commitments. And here they save storks as they are species that are endangered in the wild in Toyoka. And one of the largest reasons why storks have gone extinct in the wild was due to the major human intervention within the wild as well as climate change. And so by collecting funds through rice drives with rice harvested from Toyoka, we traveled there to do what NIS as a student group can do. Next, the GIN conference with students from international schools all over Japan has helped to expand our target audience from just our local community to a nationwide view. So as for the future stuff that GIN as a group is planning to work on is the GIN Garden, which is part of the Eco Committee's action plan. And of course, bringing in a GIN Garden to our school will literally help the environment, but most importantly, will bring in a spirit to our community. And adding on as one of our ideas that has been discussed so far is to sell the organically made vegetables to parents that we have harvested. We also believe that this can target the parents as our audience in addition to the youth. So next, the combined climates and GIN events. So in the past, we had climate strikes, and this was done in order to ensure that there was more awareness amongst the community, including students, teachers, and administrators. However, this was actually one of the mistakes our school was making as a whole, as even though we were able to take these actions by making these strikes take place, our next question was, now what? And I will be delving deeper into this topic later on in this presentation. And as for future activities, we actually have a beach cleanup planned, and this is happening this week. So next, part 2. I'll be focusing on the challenges that we have faced and how we dealt with them. So one of the largest issues were obviously funds. And transferring to an eco school requires a large amount of money, such as being able to create our own energy. However, as our short-term solution to this, we decided to change our electricity to a renewable energy, then encouraged our club climates to negotiate with the electricity company to reduce the electricity bill. And unfortunately, we were not able to negotiate the price. However, we came up with a different long-term goal. which is to reduce the electricity use from 3.5 million yen to 1 million yen by reducing electricity usage. And the remaining money here could be used for funds that are distributed fairly amongst the community in order to invest in further projects. And so issues that we faced as the Eco Committee as a whole. Well, first of all, we will be talking about why the Eco Committee exists at our school. And we already actually had many clubs that focused on environmental issues such as gin and climates. However, they were all really approaching the same issue in different directions, which we found very inconvenient. And whereas the Eco Committee can make things more efficient, is we were all hitting dead ends. And although we all had very good ideas, we had to connect the dots in order to reach our goal, in order to achieve the same goal, which is to help mitigate climate change within our community. Therefore, managing equity was very important, and we felt that we could have done much better last year. And the largest issue present was that elementary students, parents, and faculty members were left behind as the high school students were sort of taking over the meeting. And it felt as if, for example, the teachers were only there to supervise us, whereas what we actually wanted from them was their opinions on our discussion from a teacher's perspective and representing the opinions of all the teachers at our school. So, how to bring equity, considering that this is a whole school committee, was a major challenge. So as for our solutions, although we had specified that only one leader from each club represented their clubs in the previous year, the rules were not strict enough, hence more and more high school students from those clubs attended the meetings, which really led to inequality amongst the committee. And in order to solve this issue, starting this year, we will be very strict on who is committed to these meetings by formally laying out who the official members are and ensure that we are fulfilling the role of the Eco Committee, which is a meeting for the leaders in order to ensure that we are all on the right path as a whole. And additionally, we have decided to create a handbook for the committee before our first Eco Committee, which actually takes place in 2 weeks. And in this handbook, we look forward to adding information such as whether the meeting is open or closed, what exactly the executive's job and the members' responsibilities are within this committee, how executives' elections will take place, and how decisions in the Eco Committee will be decided, such as simple majority or supermajority. So in conclusion, as much as it may sound as if we have really achieved a lot, we are a student-led group and everything is trial and error. And there really is no answer, which is also one of the aspects that are more difficult, as these factors differ depending on what group of individuals we are working with. So my final message for this conference is to make sure that you or your student, perhaps your children, act on the small curiosity that they have towards climate change, and to not be pressured to thinking that you must make large action in order to make impact, because even that small action you take, for example, turning off your lights when you can use the natural light, does make a change, and finding what works for you is what is key. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Masaki. Let me just stop sharing here. That was very insightful. I was very happy to hear that that you managed to keep the Eco Committee student-led, and the teachers, they can help you a little bit if you need, but you're there to take the steering wheel, if you want to say that. Also, I noted that you talked about the climate strikes, and I also found that a really interesting side note that yes, it's good that we're out there and protesting and creating awareness, but it really also matters what we do as individuals, or how do we take action actually as communities or as individuals. I found that very inspiring as well. And I know you showed a little bit actually of the Eco School's 7 steps, and that's kind of a leadway into our next speaker, because part of the 7 steps is actually to link the environmental topics that we work on, such as climate change, to the curriculum. And for us to hear a little bit more about how that is done at a school, we have ICSE. She's the head of the Department of Social Sciences at St. Andrew's School for Girls in Johannesburg, South Africa. She's also head of the ECO team, and I'm very excited to give Asi the floor, and you can share your presentation if you want to, or I can do it for you.
Thank you so much, Christina, and thank you for this opportunity to share and learn from each other. I am going to try and share the screen. Would you just let me know if anything goes wrong?
Yes. It looks like it's working. Yes.
Okay, great. So thanks. So the idea of integrating sustainability into the curriculum has occurred relatively seamlessly, as it is part of the curriculum requirements that we fulfill. The South African CAPS curriculum requires the teaching of environmentally related topics such as climate change, food security, national and cultural identity, interaction with nature, and managing waste. Because education and environmental issues go hand in hand, we have worked hard to maximize the opportunities from within our school context to inform, educate, and ultimately foster progressive social change for the better. We continue to focus on developing habits in our students that will encourage an acute awareness of the impact of their actions on the environment. And throughout our implementation, we are inculcating a deeper awareness of the individual and collective behavioral changes that are needed for a more sustainable world. We have chosen to utilize a hands-on approach with focus on active engagement to develop a conscience that drives constructive change through learned habits. This approach is propagated by a team of representatives from different sections of our school, that being the preschool, the foundation phase, the intercent phase, and the senior school, with the full portfolio overseen by myself. This cross-school involvement is proving to be an effective way of ensuring positive engagement throughout all spheres of our school. We encourage project-based and experiential learning to prepare and guide our pupils to fully engage in environmental topics and to create a deeper awareness of environmental issues. This action learning approach has created a context in which pupils can develop their skills and gain the confidence needed to make a difference. Subjects like life sciences, natural science, life orientation, creative arts, and social sciences provide the context to explore topics like how the use of wood, coal, oil, and natural gas for energy impacts the environment, how the layers of the atmosphere link to global warming, how greenhouse gases link to climate change and acid rain, the impetus of our carbon footprints, the influence on sea levels and its effects on coastal communities, natural vegetation and its links with climate, the role of climate, water, and mineral resources in human settlement, weather pattern changes, and how that affects our daily lives, the Industrial Revolution's impact on climate change, and this list is endless. However, I'm going to focus on a grade 7 topic, natural resources and conservation in South Africa. Exploring this topic included the use of case studies of conservation, community, and ecotourism projects. Pupils investigated the advantages and disadvantages of these projects. They learned about natural resources, renewable and non-renewable resources, including the use and abuse of these resources, and about the many conservation areas in South Africa, including marine reserves. This naturally led to discussions about the concept of conservation and the reasons for conservancy. Ecotourism examples were explored, as this is really big in South Africa, and the topic finished off with a focus on disappearing wetlands and the impending consequences of this happening. This topic was received with excitement as it engaged pupils with real-life relevant situations and provided a context for all of the environmental and sustainability projects we undertake and support. A deep sense of appreciation and awareness of the role we play was imprinted onto the learners, with the hope that this will extend to their immediate and external families and friends. In this way, the relevance of the curriculum and the importance of implementing it effectively has a direct link to creating proactive and outspoken ambassadors of the environment. Even though this idea starts in the classroom, we actively extend it into everyday school life where it will eventually foster change in the community at large. Our environmental awareness efforts highlight our ongoing initiatives to aid in the preservation of our environment while showing young people that they have the power to be the change for sustainability. Outside of the classroom, learning opportunities, we have a functioning recycling station on our school grounds where we sort through our waste, separating recyclables from non-recyclables. This is collected from our campus on a regular basis. By educating pupils about the importance of recycling, we aim to inspire them to think about how their personal actions affect the planet and their future environment. We hope that the recycling habits that they learn at school will extend into tackling the waste reduction at home, leading them to becoming more waste-conscious adults. We also implemented a composting initiative, which has provided valuable environmental and educational advantages to our school and has helped students to understand concepts such as decomposition and energy cycles, while reducing the amount of organic material that goes into landfills. Last year, this initiative alone translated into 4,311 tons of food waste being diverted from landfills, saving 2.7 tons of CO2 greenhouse gas emissions. We also promoted the planting of indigenous plants, such as the speckworm, to reduce carbon dioxide while being water-wise and indigenous. Exotic trees on the school grounds have also been replaced with indigenous trees that support the local ecosystems. In addition to this, a succulent wall was introduced onto the campus in aid of climate resilience. These will remain ongoing initiatives and will become increasingly more noticeable throughout our school in the future. Going forward, all new buildings will have an eco-friendly focus, as is evident in our science center, which is the newest addition to our campus. The classrooms were designed to make use of natural daylight and are fully equipped with solar lights to further our efforts of staying green. This project not only generates an alternative source of energy, but also provides students with the opportunity to learn about solar energy. This Science Center rooftop further provides us with an additional space for a vegetable garden. And these vegetables are harvested and distributed to staff members and a local soup kitchen. So these gardens are used as an invaluable tool for garden-based learning and education about agriculture, natural sciences, and nutrition. Adding to the noted and worrying changes in our climate, the current water crisis experienced in South Africa has made the harvesting of rainwater essential. Our school's response has included the installation of various water tanks, which has resulted in a reduction in water costs and an increase in learning opportunities that promote efficient use of available resources. Paper in our school still remains a huge challenge. And while we can't eliminate the use of paper completely, we are focused on reducing paper, water, and energy usage by encouraging back-to-back printing, decreasing the use of desktop printers, and we have moved all administration, reports, and school communication to a digital platform. Ongoing awareness of how our actions adversely affect our environments and biomes are actively promoted in our weekly assemblies, where we highlight topical issues and important eco days. We were even privileged to participate in an owl release program where feeding teams and rosters, release day countdowns, and post-release observations were enjoyed by the entire school community. And a greenhouse eco-tunnel provides our students with the opportunity to gain a greater appreciation of food production and allows us to provide underprivileged schools with seedlings to start their own vegetable gardens. The introduction of solar canopies in our parking lots is in motion. By utilizing land that has already been cleared while providing shade for cars and renewable electricity for the school's use, we aim to reduce costs and electricity consumption, thereby further reducing our carbon footprint. We plan on continuing to deepen the students' environmental cognizance through discussions on how to improve our collective responsibility towards the treatment of our environment, so that it can become a lifelong practice. If we fail the environment, it places the future of our planet and humankind at great risk. We want education to play a role that will inadvertently contribute meaningfully in mitigating the real and present risk to our very existence. Thus far, we have been quite successful in these efforts. We have had a number of our students leave school and go into different areas of conservation. I think the most famous person that we can boast is Pippa Ehrlich, who was the director of My Octopus Teacher, which won an Emmy Award. So I hope that today I've given you an idea of how extensive and influence schools and educations can play in raising awareness about sustainability. And in conclusion, as Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it is done. And our part in the fight against climate change is in its infancy, with lots still to be done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Xi. That was fantastic to see all the projects that you are doing and all the environmental achievements that you've managed, but also how you build the skills of the students. And you say that, you can see that when they leave school, they're actually interested more in this area of conservation and environmentalism. So that's a fantastic achievement. So thanks for sharing. And you also mentioned that ecotourism is actually quite big in South Africa. And actually that's a good leadway into our next speaker, because Erfasira Mann is actually the Eco-Campus Committee Chairwoman of the Paul Duprol Hotel and Tourism School in Cambodia. And she's also a founder of the Ladies Circles. Erfasira, we would like to hear from you if you can share what kind of green skills you think that you will need as a future professional in the tourism industry. And if you want to share your screen, feel free to do so.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Can you please help sharing the slide for me, please?
Yes, no problem. I see you have your hand raised. All right, no worries. I will share your presentation.
Thank you.
Just 1 minute. Here we go. I think this is the best I can do, actually. I hope that's okay.
Okay, good evening from Cambodia, everyone. My name is Erfasira, and so before going to answer our question relating to our topic today, I would like to give a brief background about me a bit. My name is Erfasira Mann, and I am also a founder of one of the project called Ladies Circle under UNICEF Cambodia. And I am currently also a chairwoman of the Eco Committee that cooperate with FEE in EHT in Cambodia as well. So relating to our question today is, what green skill will you need as a future professional in tourism industry? Regarding to the question, I have quite a few points that I have pointed out. First of all, I would love to focus on both the value and also the commitment that you must have as a youth representative or as a you personally yourself to have a specific green skill that you will need as your future professional in tourism industry. This point is from my own perspective and also from my own experience as well. So I would love to give you a bit detail of what is the value and also the commitment that you must need. Is the value is the knowledge and also the skill that you must to know what is the best for you and your community, especially your society, to live in healthy and safety environment. And regarding to that, you also need to have a commitment that is an ability for you to have a specific vision for you to boost and encourage your passion and what are you like passionate about in environmental problems that your country or your society are facing right now. And for relating to knowledge in tourism to contribute with your environment is also linked to the other point about the SDG as well. And also when you know about the SDG, you will know about and understand and have knowledge about what's the pollution of CO2 emission have affect your country, or also you will know how to solve the problem as well. So can you move on to the next slide? Thank you. So I will give you a brief detail about what is the SDG. So SDG is stand for the Sustainable Development Goals, and also known as the global goal that were adopted by United Nations in 2015. And also it's called as a universal to call for an action that designed to end the poverty and also a hunger, to end the AIDS, and also to end after the discrimination against women and girls, and ensure that by 2030. And there are 17 points of SDG that are organized and also designed to have the link and connection to one another. So if you take action in one place, they will have an effect, and they will have a good effect or a specific outcome to one another as well. And when you take the action in one place, it will give you their outcome, their effect, and also give you the development that's must land on not just your society, but it also have an effect on your economic, especially the environmental, and specifically on sustainability in your own country as well. And to have the link with 17 of the SDG, you have to use your uniqueness and also the creativity based on knowledge, how you can contribute and how you can help to involve with what your society or your community really need right now to have access to achieve those 17 goals in SDG in every context as well. So can you move on to the next slide, please? And regarding to our 17th point of the SDG, here is one of the wonderful example from my own project as well. And I also, I would love to give you a brief background about Lady Circle. So Lady Circle is found on 2020, and we also won the third prize of the Aquatic of as well, challenge as well last year. And now we're currently working under UNICEF of Cambodia as well. And how Lady Circle work is, first of all, currently I would love to say we have 33 members that we hold in Lady Circle right now. They're currently working in different sector, and they come from a different environment. They also come from a different province and the part of the Cambodia as well. And first, how Lady Circle work is we collect the plastic bag, that single-use plastic bag that the hotels or the restaurant and also some of the NGO school that they don't use anymore, and we collect those single-use plastic bag and transport it into our local women community. I mean, one of our local women community in Siem Reap province of Cambodia to wash it and sanitize it and cut it. And those women, they use their own talented and what they have learned from weaving, not just for clothes and stuff. They use their own talent to use their creativity to weaving those single-use plastic bag and turn into handcrafted product. And those products, Lady Circle have collected those products, and we help them. We help those women by selling not just in our website, but we also host an event or a workshop to have to I would say advertising and also do the marketing for them. And you will have a question, how can Lady Circle contribute with both environment and also to help the women in community as well? Like, how can we blend both of the two sectors together? So can you move on to the next slide, please? So there's a lot of I would say activity that Lady Circle have achieved in the past years, and there's a lot more, but it's hard for me to put in one slide. So this is some of the most important action that we have made in the previous year. So Lady Circle not just focus on environmental issues, but we also involved and also contribute with those of 17 SDG that I have mentioned earlier about how we can achieve and contribute or be a part of SDG toward our better future for our planet and country as well. So first of all, I would love to point out about the environmental issues. So we have to reduce, or also I would say reuse, the plastic bag that most people or things that we cannot use anymore. So we use that, I would say, the waste from other people, but turn it into a valuable product that can sell and also can help to raise the fund and help those women community who really in need, and they cannot make their own income due to the pandemic of COVID-19. So we help them by raising the fund from selling the product for them as well. And regarding to that, we also involving with the Clean Ocean Day. And actually, Lady Circle not just working under the UNICEF of Cambodia, we also have a partner with several of ministry in our country as well, such as Ministry of Social Affairs, Ministry of Environment, and currently we also are working with under United Nations of Cambodia as well. So we relating to the I would say the Ministry of Environment, we also have a partnership with one of their project called Marine Conservation Cambodia. As you can see in the picture, we have me and our team to go to visit one of the I would say islands around the east of Cambodia to know and learn how can we learn the different type of plastic, what can be reused, or what can be recycled about those type of plastic. And we also have to involve with to learn more about the sea creature. As you already see in the slide, there is two of the turtle that we have rescue with the Marine Conservation team and our Lady Circle team from the illegal fishing as well. So we have to rescue that and let it go back into the ocean. That's how the marine conservation work. And we also learn how to I would say the different kind of the sea plant that we can help to build a block and stuff like that to keep them away from the illegal fishing. So regarding to that, you already saw in the slide there are 7 women in the picture. Those are the previous project that I have worked with United Nations of Cambodia. That it's amazing opportunity for me and my team as well, that we can have access to contribute with one of their project called 16 Day Against Women Violation. So we have to being the voice and raise the voice and also raise the awareness on the pro and con about I would say violence against women as well. So that's a wonderful opportunity for me to working from people, especially us as a woman. So we know a lot about each other, and we also being have each other backs, and we also that's a wonderful time for me to working with people from I would say different sector, the different society standard, but most of all we come from a different mix of religions and stuff like that, and we have sharing each other a lot, and we're working toward our one goal, and we have one mission in the same project together. So this is I would say before you can think that to have a specific professional current skill for yourself toward your future professional in tourism industry. It's not just have a mind thought or the knowledge or the skill based on what you have learned in school. It's especially it focus on what you have learned in your daily life and what you can learn from people, your surrounding, or what is your society or your community really need your helps right now. What can you do as a person to be the voice to, you can also stand for them, not just for yourself, not for your own good, but for your planet, society, and country as well. So I would say to have those specific key, you need to let yourself have an open-minded, not just because on the environment part to have contribute with climate change, but you also have to raise awareness, to help with community and stuff like that. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity for me.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That was an amazing project, and I think it's a really good example of how you can, kind of harvest and make use of the skills that people have and the situation they are in, but also build them and to collaborate together and actually be stronger in these communities. So yeah, thank you so much for highlighting that. Yes, lots of things I want to just echo, but I don't want to be too much delayed, so I'm just gonna move on from here. Thank you so much, Sarah. It's really great to hear from your perspective. Before we continue with a few more speakers, I'm just gonna share my screen again in terms of a Mentimeter. Let me just see if we can get this back up. And we have it here. So everyone, find again your phones. Actually, we're gonna talk a little bit about the skills that also Sarah mentioned in her presentation. But the next question is actually, have you ever calculated your CO2 footprint? And you can be completely honest here. Nobody is gonna know your answer. I'll just give that a couple of minutes for anyone who didn't join yet. You still have the time to go to menti.com and put in the number that's up here at the top of my screen if you want to be part of the Mentimeter. So I see actually quite a few haven't done so. Well, that's good to know. Then towards the end, I'll share with you a place where you can find a carbon calculator if you're curious. To try. Because yes, I see some room for people who would like to perhaps try to calculate their CO2 footprint. Because there's also somebody who's not quite sure what it is. All right, I'll move on to the next question. And this is a little bit of a long one, but bear with me. So basically, UNESCO has defined a list of 8 key competencies for sustainability. And actually, Sarah mentioned some of them just now in her presentation. The first 4, and you can choose as many as you want, but you can have a read through them. I'll do it for read them out loud, and then you can click on those that you feel that you are confident in. So the first one is systems thinking. So kind of analyzing complex systems, anticipatory competency. So can you evaluate multiple scenarios or future and kind of predict what might happen in certain scenarios? The normative competency is the ability to reflect on norms and values and conflicts of interest. And the last one is strategic competency, and that's the ability to develop innovative sustainability actions. And also, if this is all too much and you don't quite understand, you don't have to answer. It's just a good way for us to kind of know where you're standing and maybe also where we need to focus our educational efforts a little bit more. And what is interesting, the strategic competency is quite high, which is really good to see. Super. I think I will see that as the final answer. And then we have the 4 more here. So again, there are some key competencies and which ones do you feel confident in? The first one is collaboration. So be able to relate and respect and learn from others. There's critical thinking, so kind of questioning and norms and practices and opinions. There's self-awareness, so actually questioning your own role locally or globally. And then the last one is kind of an overarching one, being able to apply different problem-solving frameworks and developing solutions to complex problems. I see lots of balls in collaboration, but also self-awareness, which is also very interesting because that's one of the hard things, I would say, being able to reflect on your own practices. It's sometimes easier to say, oh, you should do that and that, but actually doing something yourself can sometimes be a little bit more difficult. Fantastic. I think I'm just going to keep it open for a few more seconds before moving on. But thank you very much for your responses. And from here, I'm going to hand it over to Kavya.
Thank you, Christina. As rightly said by Nelson Mandela, the youth of today are the leaders of tomorrow. With a similar vision, Mobius Foundation and Climate Reality Project India launched Youth for Earth campaign. Youth from countries of South Asia were invited to join and participate in the campaign and be a champion for Earth and change maker. And it is also to provide a platform for youth to showcase their ground actions and influence the world, that change starts from there. The campaign received overwhelming responses from the youth all over the world about doing an activity or projects on the ground which brings about a change and leads to a more sustainable planet. So today we have Ms. Prarthana with us of the winning team of Project ICTR from Enactus Miranda House. Many congratulations to you, Prarthana, and your team. And I'm sure participants must be excited to hear and know the wonderful work done by the team of Project ICTR. So Prarthana, I really want to know about the ideation, the objective, and the motivation behind the project.
Thank you, Kavya. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you, Kavya. First of all, I would like to thank Mobius Foundation for providing us this opportunity where we got to present our project and for selecting us as the winner of the Youth for Earth competition. And it's an honor to share panel with such great leaders across the world. And before beginning, I would like to share a video of our project.
Hello, I am actually the co-head of Project ICTR, and I will just be sharing our video to give you a sort of insight on what we do here at Enactus.
Here you're not audible. Sorry, there's a technical glitch from our side. We'll be back in a minute. I would like to tell you all about my project by the time. So Project ICTR began in 2017 when the members of our society, that is Enactus Miranda House, which is a society that supports social entrepreneurship, the members identified a community in the urban slum in Lok Kalyan Setu near the ITO Ghats in the banks of River Yamuna. There, they have found an overgrowth of water hyacinth, which is the world's worst water weed, listed by the United Nations Environment Programme, and River Yamuna is blanketed by this invasive menace. In our community, we have local vendors and daily wage workers who have no access to clean water and sanitation. So we came up with this project idea where we can contribute towards sustainability along with uplifting the livelihood of the community. The word ICTR alludes to the optimization of one's innate potential. We aim to attest to this principle of ICTR by utilizing the hidden prospects of water hyacinths to improve the environmental conditions, and we do this by producing manure, keeping water hyacinth as our central component along with biodegradable waste. With the help of community members, we plug the water hyacinth from the banks of River Yamuna, and the chopped ones are then left to decompose. And within 40 to 50 days of decomposing, it converts into manure, which is rich in nutrients and pathogen-free. Our project aims towards building a sustainable future. We focus on Sustainable Development Goal 6, that is clean water and sanitation, and which includes the participation of local community in the water and sanitation planning and management. as the aim of our society is to solve the core problems of our society in a sustainable way. Now, I would like to hand it over to my co-project head, Kia.
I'm so sorry for the technical glitch. Kavya, if possible, could you be able to share the video? I think we've already shared it with you. If not, I'll just go ahead and explain what the video would essentially be saying. So just let me know.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
You can start with your talk. Let me just check. I'll just share it in the meantime.
Yeah, for sure. So, the story of how ICSE began is actually very interesting. We had a couple of chemistry professors in our college who were sort of researching into how we can reduce this water hyacinth, because how Yamuna has been declared ecologically dead by UN was actually, it was actually a very low point for Delhi, because the Yamuna River has tributaries flowing through the city, right? So our college and our professors wanted to play their part in reducing the sort of water pollution which has accumulated throughout the years, right? So they were researching on how we can use this water hyacinth. And that is when Enactus Miranda House tapped into that, and we collaborated with those professors, and we realized that water hyacinth is actually something which is great for manure, right? And it is completely sustainable. And all of our methods of production are also immensely sustainable, right? We use jute bags when we sell our product. Even the bins that we produce are sustainable. We make sure that we're not using any harmful plastics or any single-use plastics throughout the production, right? So we have a free or plastic-free policy at Enactus, and we make sure that even our workers are being paid, right? That everything we do and all the profits that come as a result of this project go to the community. So we've had a lot of environmental impacts which are significant, right? So after the United Nations had proclaimed the river Yamuna to be ecologically dead, right? Water hyacinth is a dangerous weed that has harmed both aquatic and terrestrial life, and is one of the major causes of the river's high pollution, right? So this led to a tripartite issue where water pollution, there was a danger to aquatic life, as well as a degradation of the living conditions for those who live along the riverbank, right? Which is actually a community. They are hugely affected by how the river Yamuna flows, and when there is pollution in the river, right, it affects their lifestyles as well. So this is all created by the dense growth of water hyacinth on the river Yamuna. So the elimination of these weeds also promotes cleanliness and the restoration of the natural soil fertility, right? So water hyacinth is the main plant used in Project ICSE, coupled with biodegradable trash to make manure. This has a net positive impact on the environment. So in order to prevent environmental degradation and ensure that the earth can continue to serve the requirements of the present and the future generations, Project ICSE is committed to promoting sustainable production and consumption, managing its natural resources sustainability, and taking prompt action. The initiative directly aligns with the challenge set forward by UN Environment in the 2030 Agenda to create and improve integrated approaches to sustainable development. Additionally, the initiative has resulted in a 0.77 metric ton decrease in carbon emissions. So through the removal of 4,456 kg of water hyacinth, this effort helped to clean the Yamuna River surface and by extension reduce water pollution in India as a whole, right? So additionally, we have also effectively recycled 348 kgs of biodegradable garbage. If the video is done, I think we can go ahead and present that.
Yeah, so I have my colleague Naveen. If we can just play the video. Can we share?
Yeah, if there are technical glitch, I think she has explained very well. We can move on to next presenter. If she would like to make any concluding point, maybe in 1 or 2 lines.
Right. I would just like to conclude by saying that our project has had a significant impact, not just on the water pollution, but also because we are a social entrepreneurship project, right? So we aim to improve the lives of the community as well, and we aim to give them a means of livelihood, right? So this was actually a community which was hugely affected during COVID times, and through those times as well, we helped them manufacture that manure, and we helped them give like a source of income, right? So Project ICSE has successfully trained and employed around 40 people from the community till now, and we have been focusing on child welfare and economic and social empowerment of women from the community as well, right? So, throughout the project, we have directly impacted more than 40 people, and more than just beyond the community, right? We've also managed to have a lot of nurseries, right? A lot of plantations affected, a lot of small farmers were actually buyers of our manure because it was actually so cost effective, right? So we hope that we can economically empower many more women from the community as well. Our project has also enabled 173 people to get access to clean water and sanitation by reducing water pollution in the river Yamuna. And we have impacted more than 25,384 members indirectly. With that, I would like to conclude my speech. Thank you. Pratma, if you have any concluding statements, I think we're done here from ICSE's side.
Yes, and yes, short of time too.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Pratna, and thank you here, and looking forward to see you in the conference. Not taking much time and going to the next speaker, I would like to welcome Ivona Jin. She is Head of European Projects at Nausicaa National Sea Experience Center in France, and has developed and managed marine science communication projects as well as partnerships, conference experts group meetings. And my question to you is, how do you effectively engage the public in the ever-changing sustainability challenges? What can help ensure positive behavioral change in different contexts?
Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Kavya. Thank you. And thank you for having me in this Youth Conclave. It's very exciting to learn a lot about all these wonderful initiatives from all over the world, and to learn a lot from the public as well through Mentimeter. Very instructive. So I'm going to talk about climate change and sustainability education from a different lenses, from the ocean lenses. And ocean literacy and marine science education, because ocean and climate are very linked, very closely linked, because ocean is the fundamental part of the climate system. It has a major influence on weather and on climate, and it also offers opportunities for nations to mitigate and adapt to climate change. So this is my introduction to the activities that we are developing in Europe, and I would just like to talk about one of them. In 2019, my institution joined a partnership dealing with the education towards sustainability of the marine natural environment, and we are in charge of implementing the Youth for Ocean Forum and assembling young people who are passionate about the sustainability of the world ocean. So we interviewed 50 young people between 16 and 30 years of age from all over Europe, and they defined what the Youth for Ocean Forum should look like and what it should do for young people and the ocean. And these 50 young people became the founding member of this forum, and which today counts over 300 members. So I'm going to share with you a link to the leaflet which presents the forum and what is going on here. I have just shared with the host, so if you kindly share it with the public afterwards, it would be very nice. So while interviewing with, the European youth, we have found out that they were motivated by two types of projects. On the one hand, they were eager for actions in the field, and they carry concrete projects. But on the other hand, there were young people also interested in ocean advocacy to influence decision-making and legislations. So for the first type of young people, we have developed the Young Ocean Advocate program, and it is regular calls for projects were held, and applicants can submit a project in 5 categories. The project should address ocean conservation, entrepreneurship towards blue economy, educational activities, research, community building, or even arts. And if their projects pass the evaluation criteria successfully, they become young ocean advocates and they are certified by the European Union. And once accredited, they gain access to different resources. They obtain assistance from senior experts who can coach them to develop their project even further or scale them up or promote them according to the needs. We also hold a series of online webinars, which are called Meet a Blue Expert, during which young people can learn skills, different skills. For example, to develop the project, there was a need to learn how to organize a crowdsourcing campaign. So we have actually found an expert who shared his experience to and explain how to raise funds for a project, for a small project. And young people, we also give them the opportunities to pitch their project at international events and leading European experts and participate in working groups. We have an expert group about climate and ocean when they participate actively. And in 2022, there were 62 Young Ocean Advocates projects that were submitted for awards. And one of the winners was an Italian young lady who developed a Venice Climate Change Pavilion, which was an artistic project which combined digital arts with augmented reality to visualize data about the state of the Venice Lagoon facing the climate change. For the second group, those who are interested more in advocacy, we create opportunities for them to advocate for the ocean and for the youth. And for example, with the World Ocean Network that has a permanent status as an observing organization with the United Nations, we accredit these young people to participate in high-level events, such as, for example, the Conference of the Parties of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, where a delegation of U4Ocean Forum members were sent to Glasgow, and they made a speech, a representative of them made a speech at the high-level event, Ocean Solutions, Coordination and Collaboration for Ocean-Based Mitigation and Adaptation. They also contributed to the report of the roadmap to oceans and climate change, and participated in the COP26 virtual pavilion, which was aimed at that time to highlight why ocean matters in climate change negotiations. And the pavilion featured different online sessions, workshops, exhibitions, reports, videos, and the youth contributed with digital exhibitions, and they also had a youth chat on the COP26 climate negotiations. So what we're trying to do is to take the youth advocacy one step forward, because so far there have been regular youth site events and diverse international events, but they seem to run in parallel track to other events. So indeed now recently, many young people are invited by senior experts to give their point of view in panel discussions and roundtables. So now another step forward is to have young people organize events like you do in collaboration with senior experts and late career professionals on an equal basis. And this is what we are trying to do with the U4Ocean Forum. And for example, in the United Nations Ocean Conference in Lisbon, in Portugal, we assisted them in applying for a site event about intergenerational dialogue towards the sustainability of the ocean. And the program of the site event was co-created by the youth and senior experts together. And the site event was facilitated by the youth with senior experts and youth as speakers. So I strongly believe that the intergenerational dialogue is essential to sustainability, and it is crucial to facilitate communication between different generations of stakeholders with diverse cultural backgrounds and interests. And the climate change challenge and the ocean require that all generations to work together to ensure a resilient environment and the ocean that provides for all life and allows a well-being of our societies today and in the years to come. So the climate change and the many threats that the ocean demand commitment throughout our entire society. Well, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Ivona. I think it's really great to hear that they are getting like more and more opportunities for youth to get engaged and to lead these kind of things. So fantastic that you highlighted some of them. I do know that we only have 4 minutes left, so I'm going to be very brief. If we go a few minutes over time, please bear up with us. But I did promise to share with you a carving calculator for those of you who haven't tried one or would like to try it. That should be in the chat now. I also have 1 Mentimeter question left. Kavya, is that okay?
Yes, please go ahead.
All right.
Just one question and then.
Yes. So that, oh, I did not show my screen here. So for those of you who are still on Mentimeter, the very last question I have for you is, how would you like to see climate change education improved in your country? And here you're free to say anything. And remember, education is not only within the school, it can also be as part of your work life or in your public sphere. What do you think would be important? And somebody already said project-based learning, and I completely agree with that. It's important that we actually learn about climate change in a way that is a little bit more active and yeah, based in real life scenarios instead of only reading from a textbook, all the scientific facts. A few more if you want to share, it would be fantastic. Taking initiatives and collaborating with various schools, definitely important. Integrating studies, be on a more large level and make people more aware of it. Yep, so more about awareness and collaboration, also across countries, definitely important. I see, yeah, engaging actively in projects, exactly. So not only being in school and learning about it at school, but actually engaging in projects, working in the field. Fantastic. I know we're short of time, but you can keep your answers coming. And then I just wanted to highlight this, as Pramod also mentioned in the very beginning. We're running out of time, and we're running actually to COP27, to the world leaders, with the message. And you can help us actually support that message by registering on this link that I will show you in or share with you. If I can just stop sharing. Please have a look at the link and see how you can support climate change education to become worldwide. Yes, with that, I want to hand it back to Kavya.
Thank you. As we come to the end of the pre-conference event, I would like to now introduce Dr. Ram Buch, CEO Mobius Foundation, who is convener ICSE and is the driving force and creator of the conference. Just a quick intro. He served the UNESCO South Asia Cluster Office in New Delhi as Program Specialist of the Natural Sciences Unit, coordinated the South and Central Asia MAB Network as its secretary. He's the co-founder of the World Ocean Network, an international network of professionals involved in ocean education and conservation issues. May I now please request him to give concluding remarks?
Thank you very much, Kavya. It has been very inspirational, I think overwhelming, the time flies by listening to youth, young people. Thank you, Christina, Kavya, of course, Pramod, and all of you for curating this such a wonderful session. In fact, this was also the launch of your running out of time. Really, we are running out of time. Of course, race against whatever is happening on climate change. So we are also running out of time, but I think I am so much inspired by listening to all of you that it's prompted me to say a few words, particularly the young people, how inspirational, how enthusiastic they have been throughout the Youth for Earth, your Eco Schools project, your young reporters, FE, and of course, World Ocean Networks, the Youth for Ocean, and all of you, the youth ambassadors. So let me begin with Michelle Dilara. I know her for almost, I think, a decade now. And she has spearheaded so many movements, youth movement in Sri Lanka and South Asia. And she has, of course, means accepted to be the ICSE ambassador, and I think inspired and motivated all of you. Ivona, a long-time friend, I think since last 2 decades, she has been with the World Ocean Network and Nausicaa, and Youth for Oceans, such a great initiative. And how oceans are linked, very few people know about oceans, and that 2 areas beyond the national jurisdiction, the deep oceans, which are basically key to solving many of the sustainability crises, including climate change. So I think involving and engaging youth for ocean is so important. And I'm not going to, because you have heard all of those presenters, very inspiring experiment that you have been doing in your countries, in your schools. And I think that's very inspirational. I remember one of the participants has asked a question that from where do you get inspiration and motivation for these projects? I think all of you must have answered that. That's the question is still lying there unanswered, and you can answer. It's an anonymous attendee. And another anonymous attendee has said, it's hard to stop climate change, ma'am. It's so hard. So 2 views, very interesting. Definitely, it's a hard action. That is why youth are so much agitated. We all know that youth are at the forefront of all the sustainability movement. One of our presenters here mentioned about those school strike, and there are so many such movements. And our Mentimeter questions, they also gauge the mood of the youth. And as Pramod in his introductory remarks, he said that only 50% of the curriculum, less than I think 50%, have been oriented towards climate education. So there is need to do more on this. It's not so hard. And unless we do it, because political class, which has all those agreements, your march is very, very timely. They call it the youth involvement as tokenism, marginal, unclear. And of course, that's why they need support and guidance. And I think the ideas and solutions and expertise that you have brought on table today, that need to be disseminated at a wider scale. And I think ICSE has shown the way. We have many more youth events tomorrow. So I'm not going to take much time. I would just like to end that please do join this movement all across the world. And as our youth ambassador, Michelle, said that, I think 2-3 times she exhorted all of you to join this movement, ICSE, and be part of this larger community. The theme that we have made is building connections and partnerships. And that is the key everywhere. Even I just, United Nations Secretary General, he also said that all these climate promise initiatives that countries have pledged into their NDCs, nationally determined contributions, that cannot go ahead without collaboration and, of course, the partnership. And youth, luckily, means I would say 80% of NDCs, they have youth engagement in their promises, the climate promise. So that is very promising. And I think rest 20% will also fall in line, because youth is a great force. And the last thing that I would like to mention here, that we need to have this dialogue ongoing, the intergenerational, generational, what you can amplify young people's voices. They have great multiplying impact, and engage more young people on climate action, and let us become the whole your climate march that you are organizing, from pledge to impact. Of course, there is action, but how we are going to impact the whole this process of the government, because they are the one who has to take the action, and that will help many of these climate pledges on ground activated by the countries. Thank you, everyone. I think Christina Madison is there. She will propose, I think, the rest of the vote of thanks. So thank you very much. It was a real, very good omen and good curtain raiser. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rambush. It was nice to have some concluding remarks. And with this, I also want to say a huge thank you to all our speakers, of course, Kavya as well, and Pramod for joining in the beginning. And yes, thank you to all your participants, all the listeners out there, and your responses to Mentimeter. It was fantastic to have you join us. And with that, I would like to close this meeting and wish you all a lovely afternoon, evening, day, wherever you are in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Please do join tomorrow. Offline, online. Those who are present, of course, they all are welcome. But online, you can join through live stream on YouTube and Facebook. So thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
I think we are not on time, just slightly ahead, but we started a bit late, I think some. So
it was well coordinated, I think, well organized.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Christina and Kavya, for that.
Oh, yes.
And asking us, Dr. Rambuch. It was inspiring for us also.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Actually, I was discussing with our chairman, Mr. Pradeep Burman, that this session by youth will not escalate to longer duration. It should end on time. And I think we made the promise. It was well coordinated.
Yes, good luck with your conference. And
yeah.
See you soon.
Bye. See you.
See you.
See you.